and welcome to Hard Copy, where we bring you the people behind the news. I'm Maokpe Ogun Yusuf. Just before the 8th Assembly wrapped up, it approved the nomination of Honorable Dabiri-Erewa as the first ever chairman and CEO of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Her appointment was greeted with approval, as many believe she is a round peg in a round hole, being no stranger to the many challenges confronting Nigerians abroad, and has often spoken of the many benefits that could accrue to the country from her citizens in the diaspora who are doing exploits. Honorable Dabiri-Erewa was chairman House Committee on the Diaspora when she served in the House of Representatives. She was there for 12 years, and is special advisor to the President on Foreign Affairs and the Diaspora. She now chairs this new commission, known for short as NEEDCOM, and expectations are high, as they should be, that results will soon be seen. Honorable Dabiri-Erewa, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you. Nice to be with you, Makwe.
Well, there's a bit of confusion right now because people are not sure whether you're still special advisor. They're not sure of the status of the president's aides. They're wondering whether it expired with his first term and whether they have to do a renewal of mandate. What is the current situation?
Well, I'm chairman Diaspora Commission.
Yeah.
The president decides on his aides, and that's the president's prerogative. Some aides are still functioning, but I'll tell you, no aide is collecting any salary now. So if the president feels you can play a role, still play the role until it's maybe officially done. But what I know is that no special SSC or SA is collecting any salary now. So it's all the president's prerogative.
Do we call them, do we still call you by your title, special advisor to the president?
Call me anything you want.
On foreign affairs and
call
diaspora.
me anything you want, but
Are you still an
how
aide
they
of the
work with
president?
it. Well, every aide at this point in time should your tenure elapsed, I think about May 29.
Yeah.
So we're expecting maybe some appointments by the president, but I really can't speak on that. But I address myself as the chairman, Nigerian Diaspora Commission.
No, that's a tough one because now, well, I think that we'll definitely get that. We should get some clarity on that as time goes on.
Work is going on.
Yeah.
The aides that are working closely with the president are still doing their jobs.
Those so people are not sure what to address them.
Don't worry. Don't be too much in a hurry.
If you say so. Well, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission sounds like a very ambitious commission. We understand that there are about 5 to 15 million Nigerians in diaspora. It's not sure what the figure is. But what exactly, because this commission exists for them, what is the mandate of your commission?
Well, first is, number one is the database. It's not accurate, so we hope that we should be able to come up with an accurate, we're close to accurate database of Nigerians in the diaspora. And 5 is a very low estimate of Nigerians in the diaspora. We're talking of not less than 12 million Nigerians in the diaspora. And we're not even looking at a lot about Africa, Sudan and other countries around Africa, so it's huge. So one of the things to do is we need to establish an accurate database. Again, it's a big challenge, but I believe we will do it. We've started, putting some modalities in place. Well, the vision and mission of the commission, 26 countries have full ministries for the diaspora. So we are having just a commission, which is a good beginning. First is we've been talking about, in Nigeria in particular, about how enormous, our human resources are. Oh, it's the best thing. It's not about the oil. It's our people. These are people who remitted $26 billion 2018, $23 billion a year before. So it's a population you cannot ignore. So how do we tap these enormous human resources for the goodness and development of Nigeria? A one-stop agency to deal with these issues. It's like before you have a problem, you have nowhere to go to. Now you have a platform to communicate with. Now, early in July, we'll be coming up with a diaspora policy, a comprehensive diaspora policy that will guide diaspora engagements. Of course, with the policy, we'll come with a strategic document as to how we hope to achieve the aims and objectives of the policy. So I believe that the diaspora cannot be ignored. In fact, apart from the Nigerian diaspora, even the historic African diaspora cannot be ignored in the world anymore. So beyond the remittances, there's so much to do in terms of human capacity. It's about human capacity development. So we're going to be doing a lot in that regard and working with a whole lot of experts in that field. So expect when we unveil, the whole things that the Diaspora Commission will be about, our aim, vision, where we're coming from, where we're going, and how we want to get there.
How do you see this? How do you see your commission interfacing with the Ministry of Foreign
Well,
Affairs?
the commission is an independent department populated under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I remember when we were trying to work on the bill in Parliament. It happened to have been a bill we worked on in Parliament when I was chairman of the Committee on Diaspora, and there was an argument. Most of the diasporans said, no, it must be under the presidency. Very few said Foreign Affairs, but we said, let's do the right thing. The proper place to have the diaspora, the commission place should be the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So, but it's a commission with the chief executive, who is also the chairman of the commission, appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate, because all the job we do relates to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Hasn't come without controversy. I don't know if you're privy to some of the controversies that, not for that particular intervention, but the other announcements you made prior to that, especially of Nigerians, some who were caught in Dubai having robbed a bank. Some people thought you were discriminating against people of a certain ethnic region by naming and trying to shame those people, and not naming and shaming the people who were accused of advance fee fraud in the United States.
No, actually, then that means that whoever is saying that you got the information wrong. The advance fee fraud was on the front page. It depends on how information comes. It was on the front page of a national newspaper, that was the Southwest newspaper, with all their names. And again, we came out to say it's condemnable. So the names were out there. In the case of the Dubai incident, I mean, it would be irresponsible of a nation. Something was all over social media, all over television, and we contacted our embassy. We confirmed first with the names of those who perpetrated the crime. In fact, if anything, that has helped them to commute death to life imprisonment, because Nigeria showed concern and showed that no, this is not acceptable. We know they did this; it's not acceptable. They'll be sentenced to death, but they will be committed to life imprisonment with the intervention of the mission, and Nigeria as a nation. So I think it's too petty and unreasonable to now start, like somebody said, does crime have federal character? A crime was committed, we condemned it, the names were named. The same thing with them. What about the Nigerian, the Yoruba guy who carried drugs to Saudi Arabia immediately after, when we're still talking about death row in Saudi Arabia? He's going to be sentenced to death, and we mentioned his name. So let's take this issue seriously. It's not about where you're coming from. When you're caught with a green passport. And I think we should be worried about the few people that are making life miserable for you and I. Those few people, we should not tolerate it, we should not accept it, and we should let them know that if you commit a crime, you suffer for it. But every Nigerian should not be criminalized. Look at what is going on in Ghana now. They are criminalizing us as a nation, and the ambassador has made it clear to them that these are the people who committed this crime, deal with them. But don't say because A has done this, B has done this, that makes Nigeria a nation of criminals. It shouldn't be accepted. So let's face issues squarely. I'll give you an example of Edo State. Recently, I read that another state had overtaken Edo State in terms of prostitution. For a long time, you say that everybody doing prostitution is from Edo State. Now the Edo State governor took up the matter. They worked on it. Today, the numbers are falling. So if you are known for a particular kind of crime or anything, the state, the administration, the government, and the people, we should get up and say, listen, this is not right. The fact that you want money, by all means, does not mean this should be encouraged. Whether it's drugs, whether it's prostitution, we should speak out and ensure that we do not celebrate crime and criminality. So I think we put that behind us, and we're looking at ways to, talk to our citizens abroad. Let's be good ambassadors. If you commit a crime, you pay for it. And in fact, there's a particular country where they're competing names of some Nigerians that are involved. They will publish the names.
I totally get your point on that. But, when you have a situation whereby some people are already accusing this administration, maybe
no,
you can talk about... I just don't understand. Just a moment. When you have a situation where you have people who already feel marginalized, in quote, by this administration.
What about the
guy? And then they now feel that,
what about the
you
guy?
mentioned certain names and you didn't mention some other names.
We need to face
questions of discrimination.
One of the problems we have, problem of denial. Let's face these issues. The guys we got out of South African prison, where did they come from? Did anybody say, where we used our own personal money to build them out? The number of people that we have gotten out of prisons, all over the world, we don't come to even bother. So because it's not about celebrating, it's about achieving results. So I think we should talk about things that will make our lives better as a people. You cannot celebrate crime and criminality. It doesn't matter where you come from. The other chap who carried drugs to Saudi Arabia after Zainab is from the Southwest. And we mentioned his name. In fact, the family also said, oh, why did you, he's from the Southwest, but nobody from that part came to say, oh, well, he's from this part of the country. No, so let's be petty about these things. Let's face issues squarely and move on as a nation.
Well, you have talked about the fact that you're going to be concerned about Nigerians in diaspora.
Absolutely.
And you have said that you're not entering into consular services. That's still the work of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
No, we don't. Consular issues are the works of the Ministry of, is not a diaspora thing. And then, when we define who a diaspora is, you're going to see all that. There's a definition for who a diaspora is. For instance, trafficking is the job of NAPTIP. But where we can work with the agency, we collaborate. Consular services is the job of the ministry. They have missions, they have staff. Immigration issues, passport issues is the job of immigration. But where we can come in, maybe to give information, suggestions, we will do that. But it's not our primary.
I understand, but for a lot of Nigerians in diaspora, they still have a lot of challenges accessing consular services. Only just a couple of days ago, a Nigerian was very angry, and he went destroying vehicles right in front of the UK embassy, the Nigerian embassy in the UK. You have condemned that particular act, but some Nigerians have risen in his defense, and I'm going to play one of them for you so you listen to what he has to say.
There's no telephone call in Nigerian Commission, which we have a lot of evidence in my phone, which I will play to the court to corroborate my evidence that Nigerian Commission is ineffective. We cannot reach them on the phone, number one. Number two, there's no complaint box inside Nigeria Commission, which we reported to the Deputy High Commissioner, and he promised to put the system in place. If there is a system in place for the guy to report to, yesterday, this incident wouldn't have happened. Number one, when they said the guy does not have the slip, but when they noticed the hunger in this guy, they should have referred the guy to supervisor. If the supervisor cannot settle the conflict, then the manager will be able to settle it. You see, if all these procedures are in place, there's presumption. We would have prevented the criminal damages yesterday. But because there's no system in Nigeria High Commission UK under the leadership of Ambassador Doguntade, that was what led to this incident.
How do you respond to that? I mean,
it's been a viral video, so we've all seen
you've seen that video?
Oh, everybody has seen it. Unfortunately, it's about viral videos now. Fine, there are challenges in, some of our embassies, not all. Some are doing better than others. But whatever challenges, I know they have to be addressed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And sometime next week, we'll be meeting Nigerians in the UK, the Nigerian leaders in the UK. We want them to table what these challenges are and how to go about them. So we know there are issues. There's no doubt about it. But for the guy who destroyed the cars, no matter the level of anger, there was no justification for that. But all points are being noted. His own, I've received several mails, including solutions to the issue of passports in particular in London, in our UK mission, and a few others, but in particular UK and some parts of the States. For instance, some people feel, oh, you have to come to London from a far distance, and then you get there, it's not ready. What do you do? Where do you sleep? So what we should do as a government is compile all these points and see how they can be dealt with. Where the embassies have succeeded, we know they've succeeded. We try to improve on it. For instance, there's a video circulated from the Canadian, about Canada.
Yeah, the 20-person video.
That video was years ago, and I remember I issued a statement then. Now, somebody posted a video saying that this happened today. That is immoral and it's wrong. It happened years ago, but the question should be, this happened years ago. What is the status now? Canada, there's been tremendous improvement in Canada. So there are challenges, no doubt, and I'm sure the Minister of Foreign Affairs will, look into this very deeply. So it's not something that can be ignored. What we will be doing with the Nigerians in the diaspora, we'll be sitting with them, looking at solutions. How can we prefer solutions? What should be the way forward? So we're taking every criticism, constructive criticism very well. I've received much more.
Is the Nigerian government going to be defending this young man?
Well, let him be arraigned first. It's going to be arraigned. It's both British and Nigerian. It's going to be arraigned, I think, this week. So let's state the arraignment. And even the young chap, hopefully we'll see him Sunday. If he needs help, we'll get to know. So let's hear what really happened from him. He's going to go to court. He's going to be arraigned for criminal damages. So we take one step after another.
Well, Honorable, xenophobia is one of the issues you've tried to engage the South African authorities on. It's still an issue. We know that Nigerians are still dying in South Africa, even though it's not very clear if they are xenophobic attacks or other matters. But where are we in that conversation with South African authorities?
Well, the conversation is deepening, and our mission in South Africa, both in Pretoria and Joburg, are not relenting at all. But there are three issues. We have the xenophobic attacks, which is not just Nigerians. It is targeted at other African nationals. And the president of South Africa came here and said, you know what, we're embarrassed about that, we'll do everything about it. We also have the issue of Nigerians killing Nigerians, drug wars, cult wars, and all that. So, but the key thing is that no matter what, any death is unacceptable. So, on the part of South Africa, 4 policemen have been arraigned for their involvement in killings of Nigerians, and the case is still going on. The mission is monitoring the case and developments, but we're still going to be demanding from South Africa the fact that if a Nigerian commits a crime, deal with him, punish him, but we cannot generalize or criminalize all Nigerians as drug dealers or yahoo and all that. So that's the point we're in. And then between Nigeria and South Africa, regular communication as to processes, what is going on and all that. But however, and I've said it before, some time ago, Nigeria and South Africa entered into what you call an early warning signal mechanism. That early warning signal mechanism is not working. So both countries need to review, at the level of their ministers of foreign affairs, review the early warning signal mechanism and find out why it's not working and what needs to be done. So I think that process is on.
Some people were talking about, you know, taking on the economic ties that, you know, South Africa has with Nigeria. How is that any measure?
Well, you see, this is something that is happening at the level of people at the grassroots. It's about misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding at the government level. It's about awareness and explaining. Don't forget that we have issue with blacks in South Africa. That is one. What do you want to say about Nigerians killing Nigerians there? Economic ties. So it's about more awareness and conversation. And what we'll be doing more is more engagements between both Nigeria and South Africa, both here in Nigeria and also in South Africa. And that is ongoing, so that information needs to be out there. South Africans also need to talk to their own people that attacking blacks is not the way forward. They are not taking your jobs. They are doing the jobs that you are not taking. So there should be more awareness on both sides. I don't see why we should degenerate to, you know, fighting to that level as African brothers and sisters. So let the misunderstanding be cleared by more awareness. And I'm glad with what the Nigerian community in South Africa, what they're trying to do. They're, you know, embarking on a lot of awareness programs. Some NGOs actually go into the communities to help those Nigerians that have been in trouble, to see how they can support them. So a lot is going on, and I believe that it's only a matter of time. But however, no death is justifiable, is not acceptable. I mean, some women have been turned to widows. They give all sorts of reasons. They took our house, they took our homes, but these are things that both countries really need to resolve. And I believe it will be resolved.
You have been involved in diaspora affairs even before you got this appointment. Now, part of what you had been able to do recently that came to the forefront was the release of Zainab Aliyu, who was framed for having trafficked drugs to Saudi Arabia. It threw up a lot of issues. I mean, of course, you got a lot of commendation for that, but then it did take up other issues as to how do we know that many more Nigerians who were in Saudi Arabia were not being framed for those issues? Well,
again, I agree with you, brought up some issues. And remember that, you know, in coming to, before we even got to Zainab, we, you know, came to announce to Nigerians that we had some Nigerians that were on death row, about 20 in Saudi Arabia, and that there were some of them that, you know, from the information we had, didn't quite, let me break it down. There are some in Saudi Arabia, those condemned to death. Actually, the drugs were found on their bodies. And there's probably something is found on your body, some in the anal, some in the private parts. You can't say you didn't carry the drugs. But there were cases of, oh, here and there, those ones are not condemned to death. They're just somewhere in prison or somewhere. So in the case of Zainab, you know, in her own case, we had evidence here in Nigeria that the people who actually framed her had been caught. So the key thing was, how do you relate this evidence to the Saudi authorities to know that these are the people that actually committed the crime? So Saudi says to you, if you say you didn't do it, who did it? So Zainab's father played a critical role in all this. He had to virtually sleep in the NDLEA office in Kano to say, listen, this information is there, get it out. So information was knowledge, it was power to ensure that the information, you know, was used to ensure Zainab and Ibrahim were released. And of course, as we've said very well, the personal intervention of Mr. President made it happen.
Well, working with the IOM, you have engaged very strongly with Nigerian returnees from Libya. Are we expecting more Nigerians?
Oh, they come almost every 2 weeks.
Do you follow up on them?
Oh, yes. NEMA and IOM, we sit there all the time and with documentation. I mean, after we, went to Libya on Mr. President's instruction, set up a multi-agency team, so far, over 13,000 have been brought back. And between IOM and NEMA, they bring them back, I think, on a 2-weekly basis. When they don't have enough, they wait till they get enough. So I still get people who said, oh, we're trapped in Libya. So I sent to NEMA and IOM with the names and location. They're able to trace them, they bring them back. But there are some places you can't get to in Libya because of the war situation. So there are some underground cells. If you can't get there, then you can't bring them back. So we keep encouraging our people. I think it's still, I don't know, NAPTIP should be able to tell you whether, but I think there's been a reduction in the number of irregular migrants through that route. I think with what the federal government has done, working with all these agencies, that has reduced tremendously. But we can't stop at that. Let's keep telling our people that if you want to go out, just go legally, regularly. And the Commission will also be doing a lot about that. If you want to go, go properly. We're not saying don't go, but go properly, because the consequences are not worth it.
Well, I know that NAPTIP is now very concerned about Nigerians even being trafficked within
the country. Both within and outside the country. So it's an ongoing process, and results are being achieved.
Well, in Nigerians who are doing exploits, the people who are making us proud, how are you relating with them?
Oh, absolutely.
And how are you hoping that, they will be able to identify more with us and, say, be proud to hold the green passport wherever
That's
it is they
a
are?
major area the Diaspora Commission will be focusing on. And but I keep saying one thing. I mean, I'm a Nigerian, I'm proud to be. I'm not going to accept any stereotype. 419 does not have a Nigerian name. It doesn't have a Nigerian address. There's crime and criminality everywhere. It's about perception. It's about packaging. It's about branding. It's about how you project yourself and brand yourself. Some countries are even more dangerous than Nigeria. Okay, even in England, it's about knife crimes all the time. How many Nigerians have been killed on the streets of England? But it's about how you project yourself and the perception and the branding. So the Diaspora Commission will focus a lot on that. And, we'll be celebrating. No, I mean in celebrating the best in us. We're not, we have Nigerians excelling everywhere in the world. And we're contacting them, we'll be promoting them. We have what we call Diaspora Delight. And I tell you, almost every day you can churn, one person doing great things. And beyond just celebrating doing great things, how do you connect with your country? But the good thing is that they are so excited and passionate. They never had the platform. Now we're creating the platform to make that happen. And you're going to see a lot of tremendous results.
It's a lot of work, though. I'm just wondering how this is going to work. Are you going to have a desk in every embassy, or what's going to happen? How do you intend to operate?
There's a world of communication now. We're going to a world of communication technology. So we're going to make it easier to communicate. We're going to have even here call centers where you can call in, table your complaints or whatever. If it's about investments, we can channel you to the right persons. Ours is to be the link between, for instance, investments, NIPC is there. So immigration, we'll channel it. So we're going to have call centers where we can at least take calls from Nigerians either in distress or who are saying, well, we want to do this and that, how do you go about it? So all that will be
some people said it's going to be very hotline.
But some will call in and say, what is it? I'm coming home now. Are you giving me a car in the house? I have nowhere to sleep. That wouldn't be part of
well, this is on a lighter note, and we're wrapping up now. I'm just wondering, it's very interesting to get you on the other side and this one-on-one interview. Do you miss being on this side?
I've always said I do. I mean, journalism is my profession, is my love. I can't get it out of my system, so I miss it, but I enjoy doing what you're doing.
Do you think?
And the good thing is, what I was doing in journalism is not much different from what I'm doing now. You're trying to deal with issues, solve issues, get involved with people's matters, being a representative of the people and the government. So, but I think you should be on this side.
No,
I see it in you.
I'm very content to be on this side. At least for now.
You're from Lagos State now. We're going to drag you.
Well, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, thank you for coming on Hard Copy tonight.
Thank you very much.
That's the program tonight. We thank you for engaging us vigorously with our last episode. If you missed it, simply log on to channelstv.com/program/hardcopy and just send us a tweet or a comment using the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogunyese. Good night.